Why does the woman who swears she loves you stop wanting you? Why does the same woman who once couldn't get enough of you now pull away, night after night? Why does love, the very thing that should keep passion alive, so often kill it instead? You felt it. At first, she's all over you. She texts non-stop. She kisses like she can't breathe without you. She tears your clothes off like she's starving. Then months, maybe years later, she still says she loves you. She still holds your hand. She still calls you her person. But in bed, something is gone. The fire that once consumed you both is now a flicker, if it exists at all. Sex becomes routine, mechanical, or worse, non-existent. And you're left wondering, is it me? Did I lose my edge? Did she stop caring? Or is this just what happens when love gets too comfortable? Here's the brutal truth. Nothing is wrong with you, and nothing is wrong with her. What's wrong is what we've been told. Because in her mind, love and lust don't live side by side. They fight. One grows stronger only by starving the other. And the moment she feels completely safe in your love, her desire begins to die. Today, I'm going to show you why this happens, why it's not your fault, and what it actually takes to keep her love and her hunger for you alive. Love and lust. We think they're partners. We think they walk hand in hand, feeding each other, building each other up. But inside her mind, they are enemies. They fight for the same territory. And when one wins, the other must retreat. This is the paradox almost no man understands until he feels it firsthand. The more she loves you, the safer she feels. And the safer she feels, the less she craves you. Think about it. When you first met her, she couldn't stop thinking about you. She felt nervous around you, even a little insecure. She didn't know if you liked her back. That uncertainty made her chase harder. It made her body respond with intensity. Every kiss felt urgent. Every touch felt like lightning. That was lust taking the wheel. But lust doesn't thrive in certainty. It feeds on risk, unpredictability, and tension. Once love enters the picture, it changes the rules. Love is about safety. Love is about comfort, trust, stability, emotional intimacy. Love wants warmth, long conversations, and shared dreams. Lust wants the opposite. Lust is raw, physical, dangerous. Lust thrives on dominance, on mystery, on a sense of being overwhelmed and taken. She doesn't consciously choose between the two. She doesn't wake up saying, "Today I'll be in love mode. Tomorrow I'll be in lust mode." Her brain makes that call for her, and her brain cannot activate both at the same time. That's why so many men get blindsided. They think the deeper their emotional bond, the hotter their sex life will become. They think being a good man, supportive, gentle, emotionally available, will make her want them more. In reality, it often makes her want them less. Because when you treat her like a queen, when you shower her with comfort, when you give her everything she needs emotionally, you're activating the love system in her brain. And when love takes over, lust shuts down. This is why her desire fades, not overnight, but slowly, gradually, like a candle running out of wax. At first she tries. She still kisses you back. She still says yes sometimes, but you feel the difference. She isn't pulling you in like before. She isn't craving you. And eventually, the sex becomes an obligation, something to keep the peace rather than something she burns for. You notice it, you feel it, and you can't help but take it personally. But here's the brutal truth. This isn't about you being less attractive or her falling out of love. In fact, It's the opposite. It's because she loves you so much that she can no longer lust for you in the same way. Love softens her. It turns you into her safe place. And once you're her safe place, it's almost impossible for her to see you as the dangerous, dominant, unpredictable man her body desires in moments of raw lust. Listen to the language people use when they talk about sex. We don't say embrace tenderly. We say hit, bang, smash, nail. These are not words of affection. They're words of aggression, of conquest, of power. Lust carries an undercurrent of violence, not criminal violence, but psychological intensity. It's about taking, about being consumed, about surrendering control. That's why sex feels different when it's fueled by desire instead of obligation. The woman who loves you deeply cannot access that predatory side of herself when she sees you only as her emotional sanctuary. To desire you, she has to see you not just as her partner, but as a man who could take her, overwhelm her, even conquer her. And that is the paradox that destroys so many modern relationships. Men are told to be loving, respectful, communicative, gentle. And while those qualities make you a better partner, they often kill the very energy that once made her want you. What no one tells you is that love and lust are psychological opposites. Love thrives on equality, safety, comfort. Lust thrives on imbalance, tension, danger. Love makes her see you as her protector. Lust makes her want to see you as her predator. And she cannot see you as both in the same moment. This is the split inside her mind. A split most men never recognize. A split that explains why the more she loves you, the colder her desire becomes. If you don't understand this, you'll think you're failing her. You'll think you're losing her. But what you're really losing is the battle inside her brain. A battle between love and lust, safety and danger, sanctuary and conquest. And until you learn how to work with that paradox, you'll keep repeating the same painful story, being loved more, but desired less. Inside every woman's mind, there is a silent war. Two forces battle for control. One side wants love, the other side wants lust. They don't negotiate, they don't share ground. When one advances, the other retreats. That's why she can adore you with her whole heart, yet feel no heat for you in her body. The love system in her brain is wired for safety. It craves stability, emotional connection, intimacy, gentle affection. It wants to feel cherished, understood, and protected. When this system is active, she sees you as her partner, her equal, her safe place in a chaotic world. This part of her is what makes her dream about a future with you. Imagine kids. Imagine growing old together. Love builds bonds. Love builds families. Love creates comfort. But the lust system wants the opposite. It doesn't want safety. It wants danger. It doesn't want equality. It wants power. It craves unpredictability, physical dominance, primal energy. It thrives on being objectified, not understood. This side doesn't want partnership. It wants to be overwhelmed, conquered, taken. And here's the kicker. Her brain cannot run both systems at the same time. They are psychological opposites. That's why the same man who gives her everything she thought she wanted, stability, consistency, devotion, often ends up being the man she stops desiring. Because when you activate her love system, you deactivate her lust system. When you make her feel safe, secure, and emotionally cared for, you remove the very conditions that allow raw sexual attraction to exist. It feels backwards, but it's brutally true. Think about the words we use when we talk about sex. We don't say, embrace softly. We say, smash, bang, nail, pound. Words of impact, words of conquest. They carry aggression, intensity, and dominance. Lust isn't about gentle equality. It's about imbalance. It's about one person giving in to the force of the other. That's why lust feels dangerous, why it feels wild, why it shakes her to her core. Now look at how women themselves describe their inner split. On one side is the Madonna, the pure, good, nurturing, respectable partner. This is the woman who gets introduced to the family, who gets protected, who is honored and loved. On the other side is the vixen, the sexual, primal self that exists to be taken, to surrender, to be used for pleasure. These aren't conscious choices. She doesn't decide, today I'll be Madonna, tomorrow I'll be vixen. Her brain activates these states depending on how you treat her and how she perceives the dynamic between you. Here's the tragedy of modern relationships. We expect one woman to play both roles for one man. We want Madonna in public and vixen in the bedroom. But the reality is that these two modes cancel each other out. When you treat her like your precious partner, you trigger Madonna mode. She feels cherished, respected, adored, and completely non-sexual. When she's in this mode, any attempt at aggression or dominance feels wrong, even offensive. Her brain rejects lust because it clashes with the safety and equality love depends on. To access her vixen state, you must suspend the love dynamic. You must stop treating her as your precious partner and start treating her as the object of your raw desire. She must feel wanted more than understood, desired more than respected, sexually valuable more than emotionally safe. These states cannot coexist. That's why so many couples fall into the trap. The more love grows, the less lust survives. For centuries, men dealt with this paradox through a system society no longer accepts: wives and mistresses. The wife gave stability, respectability, family, and partnership. The mistress gave adventure, intensity, and passion. Each role served its purpose. The man didn't expect one woman to be both. Modern marriage, however, demands the impossible: that one woman be the Madonna and the vixen at the same time. And because the two systems are neurologically incompatible, passion eventually dies. What happens then? Millions of relationships collapse into the same pattern. The deeper the love, the weaker the desire. The better the partner, the worse the lover. She gets what she thought she wanted: love, devotion, safety, and discovers it killed the very thing she craves most when no one is watching: raw, unfiltered desire. Here's the cruel twist most men never see coming. The more love you give her, the less her body responds. And it's not just psychological, it's chemical. Inside her brain, two different sets of chemicals control two very different systems. One set fuels attachment, the other fuels desire, and they don't mix. When she feels deeply bonded to you, her brain floods with oxytocin and vasopressin. These are the love chemicals, the ones that make her feel safe, secure, emotionally connected. They calm her, they lower her stress, they make her feel certain she belongs to you. Perfect for long-term partnership, but deadly for sexual hunger, because the very chemicals that make her want to cuddle, nest, and share her secrets also suppress the fire of lust. Lust lives in a different chemistry. It runs on dopamine and norepinephrine, the high-energy neurotransmitters linked to excitement, risk, and reward. These chemicals spike when there's tension, mystery, and uncertainty. They drive the thrill of chasing, the rush of being wanted, the electric jolt of danger. But here's the problem. When oxytocin and vasopressin are high, dopamine and norepinephrine crash. The brain can't sustain both systems at once. That's why love and lust don't just feel different. They're biologically opposed. This is why she was more sexual in the beginning. Back then, she didn't know where she stood. Was she yours? Did you want her as much as she wanted you? Was she competing for your attention? That uncertainty spiked dopamine. It flooded her system with the raw chemistry of lust. Every kiss felt like a risk. Every touch felt urgent. She couldn't get enough. But as the relationship stabilized, those chemicals shifted. She felt safe. She felt secure. She no longer had to wonder if you loved her. And as her certainty grew, her desire faded. Your emotional success became your sexual failure, the very thing you worked so hard to build. The trust, the commitment, the comfort, smothered the fire that made her crave you in the first place. And that's the paradox that drives men insane. You did everything right. You listened. You supported. You communicated. You gave her your loyalty, your devotion, your heart. And instead of rewarding you with more passion, she gave you less. Instead of wanting you more, she wanted you less. It feels unfair because it is unfair. But it's not her fault, and it's not yours. It's biology. Here's what most people don't want to admit. Safety is the enemy of arousal. Desire needs danger. It needs the possibility of rejection, of loss, of being abandoned. That tension is what ignites lust. Without it, the system goes quiet. The more certain she is of your love, the less her body feels the spark. She still loves you. She still cares for you. But love and lust aren't allies. They're rivals. And love always wins unless you know how to tilt the balance back. This is why so many men feel blindsided. They confuse her lack of desire with a lack of love. They think she's rejecting them, that she's fallen out of love, that she's lost interest in them entirely. But the truth is harsher and stranger. She doesn't stop desiring you because she stopped loving you. She stops desiring you because she loves you too much. That's the cruel game nature plays. Love softens her. Lust requires her to surrender to danger. And those two states can't exist in the same moment. Unless you learn how to create both, separately, on purpose, you'll keep losing the war in her brain. You'll keep giving her your heart, only to find she no longer gives you her body. So what's the answer? Do you stop loving her? Do you pull away and act cold just to get her wanting you again? No, that's not the solution. The truth is, you need to master something most men never even realize exists. The ability to switch modes. To move between the man she trusts and the man she craves. To give her love when she needs comfort, and to give her lust when she needs fire. This shift is not automatic. Most men get stuck in one mode. They become the perfect partner, gentle, supportive, consistent. But in doing so, they lose the energy that sparks her desire. Others stay locked in predator mode, always chasing sex, never building safety, and end up burning the relationship down. Neither extreme works. What she truly wants, though she'll never say it outright, is both. She wants the man who can protect her and the man who can take her, the partner and the predator, the sanctuary and the storm. Think about the way you treat her outside the bedroom. If she's stressed, overwhelmed, or dealing with family drama, she doesn't need your lust. She needs your love. That's the moment to be her anchor, her calm, her support. That's Madonna time. Any attempt to sexualize that moment will feel wrong, even selfish. But when she's relaxed, playful, confident, when her energy is open and receptive, this is when the switch becomes possible. That's when you shift gears. Less words, more presence. Less softness, more edge. The transition doesn't happen with a single move. It's not about pouncing without warning. It's about gradually escalating. A change in your tone, a firmer touch, eye contact that lingers just a little longer. Each signal tells her subconscious, we're not in safe mode anymore. We're moving into danger, into desire. And if she leans into it, you keep escalating. If she pulls back, you pause and return to partner mode until the timing is right. Most men waste their intensity in the wrong places. They argue about dishes, about schedules, about little annoyances. They pour their dominance into fights instead of saving it for where it belongs, the bedroom. Then they wonder why their sex life feels flat. They don't realize they're draining the very energy that could be fueling passion. Energy is finite. How you use it determines how she experiences you. If you give her your edge in arguments, you'll have nothing left when she needs to feel your dominance in bed. This is why couples who fight a lot often report better sex. The conflict itself stirs aggression, and that energy spills over into passion. But fighting isn't the healthiest outlet. A better solution is to channel that intensity deliberately. Stop wasting it on pointless disagreements. Save it for intimacy, where it amplifies desire instead of eroding trust. When you learn to control this switch, everything changes. You no longer see love and lust as enemies. You see them as different modes that require different conditions. She doesn't need one forever, and the other never. She needs both, but at different times. The mistake is trying to give her both at once. That's impossible. What you must do is cycle between them consciously. In practice, that means being her safe place when life crushes her, and being her dangerous man when her body hungers for it. It means honoring her personhood most of the time, then ignoring it when desire demands it. That contrast is what keeps her hooked. That's what makes her both love you deeply and still lust after you years into the relationship. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't want a man who chooses between being her partner or her predator. She wants a man who knows how to be both. Here's the irony. The very thing she says she wants, total safety, total security, is the same thing that quietly kills her desire. Not physical safety. That's essential. But emotional safety, predictability, the guarantee that you'll never surprise her. She tells you she wants to feel completely secure in the relationship. She says she wants full transparency, no secrets, no tension. And yes, those things make her feel loved. But they also suffocate the oxygen that lust needs to breathe. Because lust requires uncertainty. It feeds on mystery, surprise, intensity. It needs her to feel that little spark of danger, that thrill of not knowing exactly what's coming next. That tension is what makes her pulse quicken, her body respond, her mind obsess. When everything is predictable, when you're always gentle, always consistent, always safe, the fire burns out. She feels cared for, but not consumed, loved, but not desired. So what's the fix? controlled unpredictability, the art of being reliable in love, but dangerous in lust. She should know without doubt that you're loyal, committed, emotionally present. But she should never be able to predict exactly how you'll approach her in the bedroom. That's where you inject surprise. One night, you're slow and tender. The next, you're rough and demanding. One moment you whisper, the next you command. The rhythm changes. The energy shifts. She learns to expect the unexpected, and that keeps her craving more. Think about it like this: consistency in love, inconsistency in lust. She needs security in your partnership, but shock in your passion. If you're the same every time, her body adapts. Desire fades. But when you're unpredictable, when she can't quite read you sexually, her brain stays alert. Dopamine flows. Lust reignites. The biggest mistake men make is thinking they need to keep sexual intensity high all the time. They try to stay in predator mode constantly, like they're stuck in one gear. That doesn't work. It drains you, exhausts her, and eventually burns out the fire completely. Desire works in cycles. Just like muscles need rest between workouts, lust needs space to rebuild. Too much intensity kills it. Too little intensity kills it. The secret is rhythm. You give her periods of passion, followed by periods of emotional intimacy. You cycle between storm and calm, between taking what you want and giving her comfort, between being her dangerous man and her safe man. This rhythm resets her psychology. It prevents burnout, prevents neglect, and makes her crave the mode she isn't currently getting. If she's been basking in your love, she'll crave your lust. If she's been consumed by your lust, she'll crave your love. That's the loop that keeps her hooked. But here's the catch. Every woman's cycle is different. Some need more recovery time between intense experiences. Others crave quick bursts more often. Some respond best to planned transitions. Others live for spontaneity. The key is learning her rhythm while respecting your own boundaries. It's not about catering to every whim. It's about finding the sustainable balance where both of you stay lit. Because in the end, the truth is brutal, but freeing. She cannot love you and lust for you in the same moment. Her brain doesn't work that way. Love shuts down lust. Lust shuts down love. But she does need both. And the only way she gets both is if you give her each in turn. Not by accident, not by chance, but by design. So here's the brutal truth. Women cannot love you and desire you through the same psychological lens. Those feelings are mutually exclusive in the moment. Love turns on one system. Lust turns on another. And the two don't run side by side. When she's in love mode, lust shuts down. When she's in lust mode, love takes a back seat. But long term, she needs both. She needs the comfort of your love and the chaos of your desire. The man who learns to give her both at different times is the man who keeps her forever. Most men never figure this out. They either drown her in love and watch her passion fade, or they chase lust so hard that they destroy the bond of trust. Either way, they lose. But the men who learn to toggle, who can consciously flip the switch, become the rare ones. The ones who keep her engaged not just emotionally, not just physically, but completely. It requires letting go of the fairy tale lie that emotional intimacy automatically creates sexual intimacy. It requires accepting that what makes her love you doesn't make her want you. It requires getting comfortable with the paradox. Sometimes, to ignite her lust, You must objectify the very woman you cherish. That doesn't mean disrespect. It means learning how to step into different modes when the moment calls for it. When she needs safety, you are her rock. When she needs chaos, you are her storm. When she needs tenderness, you are her sanctuary. When she needs fire, you are her predator. This range is what makes you irreplaceable. Because most men can only play one role. You must play both. Think about the alternative. The man who can only love her becomes her best friend. Safe, sweet, loyal. But not the man she wants to tear her clothes off for. The man who can only lust after her becomes exciting at first, but unstable long-term, unable to give her the bond she craves. Both types lose, but the man who can love her deeply and still flip the switch into lust when the time is right, that man wins. This is why so many relationships collapse. Men try to be one-dimensional. They confuse being good with being attractive. They think constant gentleness will keep her hooked. But she doesn't want constant. She wants contrast. She doesn't want one version of you all the time. She wants both versions of you in the right rhythm. And once you master that rhythm, everything changes. You stop questioning why her desire fades. You stop blaming yourself for her coldness. You stop resenting her for pulling away. Because now you understand the code. You understand the paradox. You know how to keep her love alive without killing her lust. That's the game no one teaches men. The game hidden behind modern relationship advice that tells you to just communicate and be supportive. Those things build love. But love alone is not enough. Love without lust turns you into her brother, her roommate, her best friend. And you weren't born to be her roommate. You were born to be her man. So here's the challenge. Stop living in one mode. Stop thinking love will save your sex life. It won't. Stop believing lust can carry the relationship forever. It can't. The secret is the switch, the art of knowing when to hold her hand and when to pull her hair, when to whisper and when to command, when to comfort and when to consent. Because at the end of the day, the truth is simple. Love and lust can't coexist in the same moment, but they must coexist in the same relationship. Master the switch, and you master the game. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you felt this paradox in your own relationship, being loved but not desired? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation matters. If this hit you hard, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're just getting started, and the next video might change how you see love and lust forever.